Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Teacher Vikri and I'm going to present on development of childhood occupation. So let's begin, shall we? So we understand that as a adult, occupation means doing something for, for example, work. And this is the example of it, the occupation we did. But what about children? What does childhood occupation mean? So we understand that the occupation for adult will be job or do something, but it's still valid for children in terms of the term. But specifically focusing on the childhood development and how does it implies on their skills. For example, their play skills we focusing on. So using play activities as intervention by occupational therapists helps in terms of school function preparation. For example, for fine motor skill, we help for them to grasp pencil during in the school. So that is the example of it for the child occupation. And now we're going to focus on the first part one, which is birth to 2 years. So let's start with birth to 6 months. So we have most of the first year focus on exploratory play or sensory motor play, where they tend to seek something to understand the world and then building the scheme in according to Jean Piaget theory of cognitive development. So for the first part with birth to 6 months, it's most likely sensory motor play predominates and focus on bonding with caregivers. As you can see that the first 6 months, they are trying to attach themselves with the caregiver, for example, the mom. For example, they tend to use a lot of palmar grasping pattern. As you can see from the picture, that's how they grab the caregiver's finger to be able to awake from the to rise from the from supine position, and then you can see lift head and then raises trunk when prone, and then uses hand and mouth for reaching objects to be entered in the mouth. And for most of the time, it's for pleasurable experiences. But when it comes to social, it's focused on this to express their discomfort by crying. As you can see that kalau when we heard a lot, right, when it comes to infant around 6 months in between, if they don't like it they cry, perut sakit nangis. That's the example of it. And then another more on to 0 to 6 months, as you can see, they tend to put most of it in their mouth for seeking, sensory seeking. And this is still under sensory motor development, which is in accordance to Jean Piaget. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is 6 months to 12 months. So, in this 6 months, it's still exploratory play, which is sensory motor play, but it does evolve into functional play where playing that it requires function. For example, I want to play this because of the function of what I get. So functional play is begins to use toy for functional purposes. For example, for for this ring toys, they use functional purposes for gigate, for example. That's the example of functional play. And then the social play does evolve towards playing social play with parents and others, like going to the parents and the child, and then runs away, and then so on. And then around this 6 month to 12 month, they begins to play toys around midline here, which is in the center, and then transfer hand to hand, as you can see from left to right. And then they can able to stand with support, meaning to say that they will hold the chair. For example, in this cute little picture, they are standing while holding on support, and they begin for finger feet self, and then the Muller respond to their own name around these 6 months to 12 months. And then they start to explore their expression through mirror. They play like, they can smile, they see the smile, crying, and like they're curious, like who's in the mirror? Is that me? So this is around 6 months to 12 months. Another more on 6 to 12 months is that they love to be angkat ke atas, and then they are able to respond their own name, which have mentioned before, and still under sensory motor stage, according to Jean Piaget theory of cognitive development. And in these first 12 months are most likely exploratory and social and focuses towards building attachment with the caregivers, which is very important, right? For them to, to if they want milk, they cry. That is the example of building attachment with the caregivers. And around this exploratory play is considered as sensory motor in accordance to Piaget, and then Rubin defined this sensory motor play as an activity performed for just the enjoyment. As you can see, the first year of their life is just seeking, enjoy, and have fun with it. Experimental development stage. But when it comes to entering the 12 months to 18 months, there's no more exploratory, more towards relational and functional play where they have engaged in a simple pretend play directed towards self. Pretend play like they play among themselves like I become the chef, for example. And then the growth motor play more on explores all spaces in the room. They started to look towards their space, very curious, and social play more towards begins peer interaction, meaning they have started their interaction towards among themselves. And then uh, they in these 12 months to 18 months, we can see that they are able to use bilateral hands, where one is to hold or stabilize and one to manipulate. For example, let's say cut fruit toys. Around this period of time, they are able to use bilateral hand with full function, and then they can able to run, begins to run to because they want to explore this space, right? So they want to run, they want to to build their gross motor skills, and then they sensory regulation. They have started to react to extreme sensation, such as warm, cold, like it's warm, it's cold, and then they're able to use on object using variety of schema, which is still under sensory, is still around building assimilation and accommodation, and then they start to use facial expression towards others. More on 12 months to 18 months is that you can see they enjoy messy activities. They just want to explore further, and then become functions. They just want to penyekkan for example, Play-Doh or terapat. They tend to penyekkan and then started to use bilateral hand. And then last part will be 18 months to 24 months, means reaching to 2 years, which is it's become functional play with multi-scheme combination, meaning estimation and combination is become more functional. They have started to almost entering into pre-operational stage, which is going to the tadika, for example. And then gross motor play enjoy sensory inputs of gross motor play, for example, running, enjoying the sensory input, running, they feel the physical sensation. Pretend or symbolic play because they mix inanimate object to perform actions such as doll dancing, meaning that around this time they have known that, oh, okay, I can use this toy for for symbolic play or operator play. So for example, I can use fruits as a character and then dance, and that's for example. And then for social play, they have begin participating in group of children, and around this time they can complete 4 to 5 pieces puzzle. They can squat, climb on the furniture, they can use Play-Doh. And around here, object permanence is completely developed because around sensory motor stage, they have to build this object permanence in according to Jean Piaget to understand the depth, the object, and how does it use and all that. And they started to express their affection towards their caregiver, which is we can see the development here, the milestone here reaching towards expressing their affection. And around this 18 months to 24 months, we can see that we are reaching final phase of sensory motor stage before entering pre-operational stage. In according to Jean Piaget, you can see They have started to press onto Play-Doh. Their finger manipulation is getting better, as you can see. And then visual perception is also based on object permanence. In this second year of life, it's more focusing towards um, we tend to focus on at first it's exploratory play, but this is more become relational and functional play. It's more onto finding function in life. So this is the best part second year of life. So relating to John Piaget's theory of cognitive development helps us to understand childhood occupation because sometimes it is completely not just completely it does relate to cognitive development in terms of playing childhood occupations. So this is the example. You can see 0 to 2 years is around sensory motor, but once they are up from 2 years, it's become pre-operational, where this is the phase that they need to reevaluate their schema, and then to do the estimation accommodation becoming better. So yeah, and that's all from me. Thank you.